Some kids call me the story man because I go to schools and I tell stories. I've been doing it a long time. Now I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories. And when I told this story the very first time, I got partway into the story and I forgot the names of the dogs. And I said, who remembers the names of the dogs? And they told me. So I'm going to pretend I forget this time. When I come to the place, I will say, what was the name of that dog? And you just tell me. You don't have to raise your hand. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a shepherd with his 2 children. Now the shepherd was having a run of bad luck. Everything was going wrong. His crops were no good, and his sheep started to wander off, and some of them died. And then he got sick. And so he came to his children. Children came to him, and he said, I want to divide up my property between you. And the girl said, well, I'd like the house. And the boy said, well, I'll take the sheep. And I'll go out into the world, because my luck can't be any worse than my father's. So the boy and his sheep, 3 of them, went out into the world. And they went here, they went there, they came and they went. And his luck never got any better than his father's. And finally he was down totally on his luck. He went down just where the roads cross like this, and he just sat with his 3 sheep. He said, what am I going to do? I guess I'll just have to still the wool, maybe have some meat. I just don't know what I'm going to do. But he was sitting there just very sad. And all of a sudden he looked down the road and he saw something very strange. Because coming towards him was a little tiny man, about this tall. He had a long beard, he had shoes that curled up on the end, and there was something going around his feet. Well, they got closer and closer, and he could see that there were 3 little dogs running around his feet. They were running this way, and then they were running that way, going, like little dogs do. And he stopped right in front of him. And the little man said, why are you just sitting here? He said, well, I'm having bad luck, and I don't know what to do next. Well, said the little man, how would you like to trade? I'll trade my dogs for your sheep. Well, the boy said he didn't think so, because you have to feed the sheep. You have to feed the dog, not the sheep. So what was he going to do? Well, he said, well, I don't think so, but can you tell me the names of the dogs? And the little man said, well, they're just ordinary names. What's that one there? What's his name? His name is Foodbringer. Foodbringer. What a strange name. And the next to him, what's that dog's name? And his name was Tear 'em Up. And this one, does he have a silly name? Well, his name is Iron and Steel Breaker. Well, the boy thought for a moment. He said, those are strange names. Maybe if I traded, my luck would change. And so he said to the little man, I'll trade. And just as soon as he did that, poof, the little man and the sheep were gone. So there he was with his 2 new dogs, 3 new dogs. They were running around him like this, going, and he stood there and he looked and he said, now I have 3 dogs. Let's see, that one there, what was his name? What was the name of the first dog?
Foodbringer.
Foodbringer, yeah, thank you. It's Foodbringer. He said, Foodbringer? Why did they call you Foodbringer? The little dog just looked at him. He said, Foodbringer, bring me some food. Just see what would happen. The little dog shot up in the air, turned a somersault, came back down, and pow, he was off down the road just like that. All you could see was a cloud of dust. And in 1 minute's time, the little dog came back, and in his mouth was a picnic basket. And he took that picnic basket, opened it up, and it was full of all kinds of wonderful food. He ate and he ate and he ate, and he said, oh, I could go anywhere I want now. So that's what he did. And anytime he was hungry, he just called food bringer. Well, he and the 3 dogs were going here and there, and he decided he was going to go through the whole kingdom, and he's going to see every place there was to see. And then, he was right at the edge of the kingdom. That was the place where there was a highway. But only royal carriages were allowed on the highway. Well, he stood there with his 3 dogs. They were looking up at him. He was looking down at them. And then he heard a noise. Rumble, rumble, rumble. It was a royal carriage coming by. And as soon as he looked up there, he could see the royal carriage come by. And as it was coming by, just as it passed him, he heard somebody crying. You don't hear royal princesses cry very often. But somebody was crying, and he said, I'm going to follow and see what's going on. So as the carriage rolled by, there was a driver up on top, a big black horse, carrying it along. And as he was moving along, it came right to a great big hill. And he was right behind him. And the carriage went down the hill, and it stopped. The driver got down, opened the door, and the princess, you could tell by the way she was dressed, the princess got out, and she looked up on the mountain close by, and she just fainted. He said, well, that's strange. I wonder why. Well, he looked up on that mountain, and what did he think he saw? A dragon about 50 feet long. And this dragon was sharpening his claws on the mountain. And he knew what was going to happen. That dragon was going to swoop down and pick up that poor princess and probably have her for breakfast. Oh no. So he saw that dragon put his wings out like that, and very slowly started to rise in the air. What was the name of the second dog? Tear him up? What did they call you that? Tear him up? Tear him up? That little dog went up into the air, turned a somersault, came back down, leapt in the air again, grabbed that dragon by the throat, and pretty soon there were bits and pieces of dragon flying everywhere. Saved the day. Well, he went down and he said, Princess, wake up. It's okay. The dragon is gone. The only thing left of that dragon was 2 dragon teeth. And he put those in his pocket. Well, she looked up at him, she batted her eyes, and she said, my hero, how would you like to come to the castle and meet my father? I think she was in love with him right away. Well, he said, no, I don't think I will. I promised my dogs I would see the whole kingdom. And so maybe in 2 years I'll come back and say, oh. And with that, he and the 3 dogs took up over the hill, turned around and waved goodbye, and away they went. Well, now the princess got back into the carriage, and they turned around and they headed back home. They got closer and closer, and finally there was a place right before the castle where there was a big bridge with a deep canyon down below. And they got close to that, and all of a sudden they stopped. And she said, driver, we aren't there yet. And he jumped down, he opened the door, and he said, yes, we are. He was a mean man. He said, that stupid boy didn't go see the king, but I'm going to. You're to tell the king I rescued you, not him. And she had to promise she would. So back into the castle they went. Well, the king and the queen were overjoyed to see their daughter. And they said, oh, thank you. And they said, well, what happened? And the driver jumped down and he said, well, I got out my sword and I battled that dragon for 6 hours and blah, blah, blah. And he went. The king said, well, that's wonderful. What kind of a reward do you want? He said, well, I'd like to live in the castle in my own place. I'd like to be knighted, be Sir Bravery. And then he said, I'd like to marry your daughter. Well, she almost fainted again. She didn't want to marry him. It was awful. King said, well, we'll do it then. And so they got ready to have the wedding. Well, she said, could we wait a year? They said, yes. The second year came back, oh, can we wait another year? They said, yes. The third year came around, they said, we aren't waiting anymore. Get the kingdom ready. We're going to marry these two, this brave, noble, and wonderful driver and the princess. Well, he decorated the whole town. It was to be a big celebration. And if you'd been there, you would have seen coming over that big hill by the mountain, a boy and his 3 dogs. He had come back. And he said, I wonder why this place is so decorated. What's going to happen here? Something special. So he came up and asked an armed guard who was there, and he said, what's happening? Don't you know, you silly man? Everybody knows the driver of the carriage and the princess are going to be married. He said, now wait a minute. That one that was down the road and up in that big mountain, and that's where the dragon was? And he said, well, that's the one, but he said, well, my dog did that. What? They said, how dare you come into and say an awful thing like that? No, throw him in jail. So they took the boy and his dogs and threw him in jail. And there they were. The whole kingdom was getting ready to have for the ceremony. And then all of a sudden, he looked at the third dog. He said, what was your name?
Iron and Steelbreaker.
Thank you. It was Iron and Steelbreaker. Iron and Steelbreaker, get me out of here. That little dog jumped up, hit his head on the ceiling, came back down, ran towards those bars, and tore a great big hole in the wall. And they stepped out. And they said, we've got to stop that wedding. And they looked and they looked, and finally they said, food runner, before we get the things going, we need some food. So food bringer went this way and that way into the castle, wound his way right where the princess and the king and the queen and the driver were having breakfast. As soon as the driver saw him, he said, get him out of here. Well, they followed in, and the princess said, Father, can he have half a minute of your time? King said, yes, get it over with. We have a wedding to go to. And so he said, well, I was going down the road, and he explained the whole thing about how the dragon came down, his little dog tore him up. And the king said, well, do you have any proof? Do you know what he did? He reached into his pocket. And do you know what he got out? 2 dragon teeth. The king looked at it and he said, well, take that driver and throw him in jail. He said, you two, do you want to get married? Whole town's ready. He said, well, no, we've got some things to do first. And for a while, they had to learn to love each other first. But after a while, they were married. And you know what? They lived happily ever after. And that's the story.